In a society where kindness and empathy are often emphasized, the idea of not always being gentle with everyone may seem surprising. It might feel counterintuitive, given that modern culture tends to encourage us to act with kindness and generosity toward others, regardless of the circumstances. However, the Buddha, one of the greatest teachers in human history, pointed out that there are times when compassion and gentleness are not the only things required. He did not teach us to always please others or avoid conflict by being overly soft or lenient. According to the Buddha, the path to liberation from suffering and the attainment of true happiness is not simply about soothing emotional turmoil or comforting others in their pain. Instead, it demands a deeper understanding of the nature of suffering, the patience to face the truth, and the discernment to know when to act and when to remain still. The Buddha emphasized that in our relationships and in life, what truly matters is not blind gentleness, but wisdom in how we choose to act. True compassion, as taught by the Buddha, is not about indulgence or appeasing others, but about knowing when to help and when to set healthy boundaries for ourselves and others. While kindness and gentleness can certainly provide comfort in some situations, relying solely on them can overlook the important lessons of understanding and wisdom. The Buddha teaches us that true peace comes not from avoiding difficult emotions or discomfort, but from developing a profound understanding of suffering and its causes. Only through wisdom and insight can we transcend suffering in a meaningful and lasting way. From the moment he was a prince, the Buddha began his quest for answers to the profound questions of life, questions about the nature of existence, suffering, and the pursuit of true happiness. This journey led him to a transformative moment of enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, where he came to understand the root causes of suffering and the way to transcend it. After attaining this deep insight, the Buddha shared his wisdom with the world in the form of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. These two teachings are the foundation of his philosophy, providing a clear framework for understanding the nature of suffering and offering practical guidance on how to free oneself from its grasp. Through these teachings, the Buddha illuminated the way to overcome the cycle of birth, suffering, death, and rebirth, offering a path to liberation and inner peace for all who seek it. The Four Noble Truths are the core teachings of the Buddha, revealing that suffering is an inevitable part of life, but it is possible to transcend it. The Four Noble Truths outline the nature of suffering, the causes of suffering, how to end suffering, and the path to liberation. These teachings offer profound insight into life, helping us understand suffering more deeply and guiding us toward true peace and freedom. The truth of suffering. The Buddha points out that suffering is an inseparable part of human life. Suffering is not just physical pain, but also emotions like sadness, anxiety, emptiness, or the fear of death. No matter how hard we try to avoid or deny it, suffering is unavoidable. The Buddha teaches that instead of running away from it, we must face it directly and understand that it is an inherent part of existence. When we recognize the impermanent nature of suffering, we see that it is an opportunity for growth, to develop wisdom, and to transcend unnecessary pain, ultimately finding the path to liberation. The truth of the cause of suffering. The Buddha teaches that the root cause of suffering is craving, attachment, and desire. We constantly seek pleasure and try to avoid discomfort, clinging to things, people, and experiences. However, because nothing in life is permanent, our attachments inevitably lead to dissatisfaction and pain when what we cling to changes or disappears. The Buddha urges us to recognize the impermanence of everything and let go of our attachments. By doing so, we stop creating unnecessary suffering and can embrace life more freely, finding peace in the process. The truth of the cessation of suffering. The Buddha teaches that suffering can end when we let go of attachment and desire. The cessation of suffering is not about eliminating all difficulties in life, but about freeing ourselves from the causes of suffering, attachment to material things, emotions, and our concepts of self. When we truly understand the impermanent nature of everything, let go of craving and accept life as it is, suffering no longer has the power to control us. The truth of the cessation of suffering is not only the end of pain, but the opening of the path to peace and inner freedom. The path to the cessation of suffering. The Buddha's teaching on the path to the cessation of suffering is outlined in the Eightfold Path, a guide to living with wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. It's a practical method to end suffering and achieve true liberation. By following this path, we cultivate right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These steps are not linear, but interrelated, working together to transform our actions, thoughts, and experiences. By practicing the Eightfold Path, we can gradually free ourselves from the cycle of suffering and move toward lasting peace and enlightenment. The truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. The Buddha teaches that the way to end suffering lies in the Eightfold Path, a practical framework for transforming our lives. It is not just a set of moral guidelines, but a holistic approach to developing wisdom, ethical behavior, and mental discipline. The Eightfold Path consists of right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Each of these elements works together to help us break free from the cycle of suffering. By following this path, we learn to cultivate a balanced and compassionate way of living, ultimately leading to inner peace and liberation from suffering. The Noble Eightfold Path is the practice path taught by the Buddha to help us overcome suffering and attain liberation. It consists of 8 essential factors that guide us to live a life of right conduct, harmony, and wisdom. Each element of the Eightfold Path relates to our actions, thoughts, speech, and way of life, leading to enlightenment and inner peace. The Eightfold Path is not just a theory, but a practical method that helps individuals transcend suffering and achieve lasting happiness. Right view is the understanding of life and the nature of suffering. It involves recognizing the 4 noble truths: that suffering exists, that it has a cause, that it can be ended, and that there is a path to the cessation of suffering. Right view also includes seeing the impermanence of all things and understanding that attachment to transient things leads to suffering. By cultivating right view, we gain clarity and wisdom, allowing us to approach life's challenges with deeper understanding and a more peaceful mind. Right intention. Right intention is the commitment to ethical conduct and the cultivation of goodwill, compassion, and renunciation. It means aligning our thoughts and desires with the path of wisdom and kindness, acting selflessly, and avoiding harmful impulses. This involves letting go of intentions driven by greed, hatred, and ignorance, and instead nurturing thoughts of love, detachment, and non-harm. Right intention guides our actions and directs us toward a life rooted in compassion, wisdom, and inner peace. Right speech. Right speech involves speaking truthfully, kindly, and constructively. It means avoiding lies, gossip, harsh words, and divisive language. Our words should serve to promote understanding, peace, and harmony, both within ourselves and in our interactions with others. By practicing right speech, we not only contribute to the well-being of those around us, but also purify our own minds, reducing conflict and building deeper relationships based on trust and respect. Right action. Right action involves behaving in ways that are morally sound and beneficial to all beings. It means refraining from harmful actions such as killing, stealing, and engaging in sexual misconduct. Instead, right action encourages us to act with compassion and respect for all forms of life, promoting kindness, generosity, and ethical conduct in every aspect of our lives. By practicing right action, we align our behavior with our values, fostering a life that supports our own well-being as well as the well-being of others. Right livelihood. Right livelihood refers to earning a living in a way that does not harm others or contribute to suffering. It involves choosing a profession or occupation that is ethical, honest, and beneficial to society. This means avoiding work that causes harm, such as dealing in weapons, slavery, or exploitation. By following the principle of right livelihood, we ensure that our livelihood supports both our spiritual practice and the well-being of all sentient beings, helping us live harmoniously with our values. Right effort. Right effort is the ongoing, mindful effort to cultivate good qualities and to avoid harmful ones. It involves striving to develop wholesome states of mind, such as kindness, patience, and concentration, while eliminating unwholesome qualities like anger, greed, and ignorance. Right effort requires perseverance and discipline, acknowledging that spiritual growth requires consistent practice and attention. By continually striving to guide our mind in a positive direction, we move closer to enlightenment and liberation from suffering. Right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, observing our thoughts, feelings, and actions without attachment or judgment. It involves cultivating awareness in every aspect of our lives, from our daily activities to our meditation practice. By practicing right mindfulness, we develop clarity and insight into the true nature of reality, allowing us to break free from habitual patterns of thinking and acting that lead to suffering. This awareness helps us respond wisely to situations rather than reacting impulsively or out of ignorance. Right concentration. Right concentration is the practice of focused meditation that leads to deep states of mental clarity and insight. It involves developing the ability to concentrate the mind on a single object or concept, leading to a profound inner peace and understanding. Through right concentration, we cultivate mental discipline, allowing us to focus deeply and achieve insight into the nature of reality. This practice is essential for attaining the wisdom and awareness necessary to end suffering and attain liberation. Through the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, the Buddha not only points out the existence of suffering, but also provides us with a practical method to overcome it and achieve true freedom. By applying the Eightfold Path in our lives, we not only find the path to personal liberation, but also bring happiness to those around us. Understanding suffering and how to deal with it, combined with wisdom and compassion, is the key that allows each of us to transcend the cycle of birth and death and attain lasting inner peace.